wondering, how do police forces these days deal with the likes of terrorists or potential terrorists just getting into a car and ramming people down, mowing people down in a very public place? How do the authorities get to grips with that, Steve?
Well, there's going to be two parts of this equation. First of all, you're going to try to interdict it long before the person gets in the car. But if you cannot do that, if for some reason they get past you, you're going to have to come up with physical barrier systems. You are going to have to arm more police officers so that the tragedy with Officer Palmer doesn't happen again, and so that instead of being a victim in themselves, they can work to stop the attack quicker.
And Brian Levin as well, this hasn't yet been attributed or at least claimed by ISIS, although that we do understand that it's Islamist-related terror that the authorities are investigating. I'm wondering, though, with ISIS at the moment, can you give our viewers an understanding of how things stand on the battlefield with ISIS? Why would they be suddenly potentially turning to these kind of tactics to try to push forward their agenda?
That's a great question. And as we've discussed, they've lost 62% of their turf in the Iraq-Syria theater. Their folks are on the run. Al-Qaeda as well is experiencing difficulties militarily in Yemen. Also, their internet presence has been truncated but not eliminated. They're using offshore platforms and their own internally produced platforms. So what we have here is a terror organization that has lost some of its top leaders, including a fellow named Al-Adnani, who said, go kill people with knives, rocks, run them over. And most recently, in their issue of their magazine, Rumya, they talked about, in recent months, running people over and using knives. The problem is there is a movement that is distinct from an organization, and this extremist movement has a vessel on the internet. And lone wolves, if this person is indeed a lone wolf, can act upon it. And what they do is they rely on regular, routine, daily instrumentalities like knives and vehicles. And those are difficult to interdict. But what we're going to see is the use of more barriers. And indeed, when I was on the job in the NYPD, we had a rule that you can't shoot at a vehicle if that was the only force being used against you. That's changed. So immediate response, and that's what the Metropolitan Police did. Kudos to them. They saved lives by their quick response, and that's something that we've seen changed since Columbine here in the United States. We're not relying on SWAT teams to get there. We're relying on the line officers.
Dal, Brian just talking there about ISIS and the ongoing threat from them, but this is nothing new. We've known about the threat from ISIS for a long time, particularly here in London and in continental Europe as well. I'm wondering whether the security alert level in the country can get any higher. Yesterday we had a COBRA meeting with the Prime Minister chairing that meeting. Security, as I understand it, is currently at the high or extreme.
Yeah, it's at the highest level, and it's where the security services expect an attack to happen. I think there's a number of issues.
So an attack is imminent, effectively.
Yeah, and they've said it's been at that level, and people have asked, well, should we bring it down? And clearly, we've had an attack, and it's at the right level. I think there's a couple of issues, I would say, that are very, very important. In Britain, we're not allowed to have firearms as a standard issue. That makes a huge difference in what individuals can do, the harm they can do. Now, if you imagine this individual had access to firearms, this would be a lot more horrific than it already is. It's tragic as it is, but it would be a lot more horrific. So I think that makes Britain unique in the sense that we don't have firearms. And that's really, really important. Not having firearms means that the bad people can't access the firearms. We have a lot more police officers who are trained now with firearms. I think your colleague in America talks about more officers being there, and that's actually where we had a handful of individuals, we've got a lot more police officers, and they're able to react very, very quickly. And I think the final thing is, I think we need to be really looking at how we deal with the individuals that are being influenced by Twitter, by Facebook, by Google, all these big companies. They have a huge amount of influence, and we need to put pressure on them to make sure that people like Daesh and ISIS can't influence and get followers to do bad things.
Final word to Steve Moore in Los Angeles for us. Steve, the timing of this particular incident, it happened at a very busy time of day in a very busy part of of London as well. Do you think that nowadays we have to start shutting down some of our most public places at these very busy times in order to prevent this kind of attack?
Well, Hannah, I think if we do that, then they have, in a way, won. I think what you have to do is take areas like this. I mean, obviously, it was chosen specifically because of its significance and, frankly, because it wasn't protected adequately. And this is not a hit on Metropolitan Police. They're the best. But they chose a vulnerable area with lots of potential casualties. I would really not like us to close these things down. I think we need to just find innovative ways to continue to protect against these kind of attacks, whether that means more weapons, whether that means, like Metropolitan Police did, coming up with a plan to interdict marauding attacks. This is what we need to do. We need to go on with life, but we need to protect better.
Yeah, well, this is what all the politicians have been saying. Theresa May, not least, in joining that chorus of voices saying we need to carry on with life as normal. Life will go on, even if that normal is no longer what we necessarily expected or have become accustomed to. My thanks to all my guests, to Dal Babu, who's joining me here, and also to Brian Levin and Steve Moore, both of you in Los Angeles.